What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. In today's video, I'm going to be working on a BMW diesel engine. This is the N57 N56 3.0 variant, and I'm going to show you how to prevent a total destruction of your fuel system in this car by following few simple steps and save yourself a lot of headache and, more importantly, a lot of money. I'm talking about upwards of $18,000 just by following the steps I'm about to demonstrate in this video. So you can't afford to miss this, so stay tuned. Now, what am I referring to? What you're looking at in front of us here is a diesel disaster prevention kit. What this essentially is a bypass valve for your CP4 fuel pump, or a high pressure fuel pump, which is found on all the modern diesel engines. I'm talking about any diesel engine 2011 and up, I would say, and it's installed in not just in BMWs, it's installed in Volkswagens, Dodge Cummins, Ford Power Stroke, etc. So this video does not apply only to this engine. It will demonstrate how to install in this engine, but the principle is the same on all the engines, because this pump is in every modern diesel engine. And I'm not gonna get into details how the CP4 pump exactly works. I'm gonna link a video on top here somewhere, so you could know more if you want to dig in a little bit deeper. But what essentially happens, long story short, is if your pump fails, and it's not if, it's when it fails, because these pumps have a design flaw which causes them to fail pretty much prematurely. And it's not whether it's going to fail at 90,000 or 200,000 or at 60,000. It's going to happen one way or another. And if you do not have this bypass valve installed, what's going to happen is your whole fuel system will get contaminated with shrapnel, metal particles, which will need to be replaced. That's how it'll end up costing you about $18,000 on this model. Might be less on other models, but I haven't seen a price less than $12,000 to replace the whole fuel system on a diesel engine when the CP4 pump fails. And it's not if it fails, is when it fails. This is a no-brainer, so to speak. Now, the main reason why this is called a disaster prevention kit is because if you have this installed and your pump fails, you could just replace the pump and you don't have to worry about anything else with the system, because it will prevent itself from self-destructions if your pump fails and needing to replace all the fuel components. So with that being said, as you could see, this is a very important video if you want to keep your BMW engine alive and in good operational status. So let's dig into this install and see exactly what's needed to install this kit. Now, this kit is made by Whitbread Performance. I'm actually one of the first people that are installing this on the N57 engine. Now, this has been around for quite some time now, not for the N57 engine. This is a pre-release video, but he has made these kits for Volkswagen, all the European cars that carry the diesel engines in the US or worldwide for that matter. So the kit only is different by different types of hoses, etc. Now, the main component, which is this bypass block, is all pretty much the same on all the makes and models, with minor variations, because they all use, like I said prior, same style Bosch CP4 pump, depending on the different lines, etc. So that's how you might have some variations. However, the block itself is usually something like this, and it's been proven to work over the last few years Now here's a quick overview of this kit. Now, like I said prior, this is a so to speak pre-release, so your kit might look slightly different for this particular application because the hoses might be shorter because I'm going to be cutting them. But you'll get the bypass valve, T, some hose clamps, some gaskets, 2 bolts to mount this, and this is a return 10 micron return filter for your return line on your CP4 pump. That is it. It's very simple. It's not a major operation, so it does not take that long to get this installed into this car. Now just bear with me, I'm doing this first time, so I'm gonna be learning with you guys as I'm installing this. So I'm gonna try to demonstrate as best as I can how to properly install this in this car. It's the principle, again, is very simple. However, I just have to figure out the length of the hoses and where to actually mount the filter, etc. So first we have to actually remove the cover. That's probably the easiest part. And on this N57 engine, the CP4 pump is actually located right there. You will have to dismount the air filter element right here, so you have better access and viewing angle of the CP4 pump. And I will explain more how this actually works as we're doing the install. First, you have to uninstall the air filter element. This is fairly simple. Just pull out your filter. It's a good time probably to clean your filter if you have a cleanable one, or you could replace it if you have a replaceable one. So this just pulls out. There's 2 clips on each side, and your filter, I have a K and N, so mine is a washable one. Now, after the removal of the filter itself, you could already see the pump in the view right here. This is right here, the pump right there. Now, to be honest, you could probably install this without removing this other part of the air tube. However, for demonstration purposes, so you have a better viewing angle, I'm going to remove it so you could get an exact picture of what I'm doing, and so I could demonstrate it best as possible. To remove this is very simple. There's just a grommet on the bottom, and there's a T30 right here. You have to unplug this sensor that's on top, and that's pretty much it. With the tubes out of the way, I also moved some of the sound deadening out. It's held by one of these clips, so you can push it back, and this exposed gives you a good view of the pump. So you can see it's a V shape. It's twin cylinder. Sometimes these pumps only have 1 cylinder, but the procedure is the same in both of these scenarios. So going back to this, so what we're going to be focusing on is in the middle here, these 2 lines, or this here, inlet and return line. I explain how to distinguish them in a second. And also behind them, you see there's the metering valve, which we're going to install or block onto. First is these are the 2 lines. So as you look at the pump here, there's these arrows here and here. So this goes pointing down, meaning this is the inlet line and this is the return line. So I'm gonna just mark it for my own sake. I'm gonna put red as return, and then blue is gonna be inlet. So I'm gonna take those off first, but actually on the return line, see, because this car has a little like this top line here comes back from the main rail pressure, as well as this, so, and it goes down all the way down. So I'm gonna just undo this hose for now, and that way we'll expose more area to this hose. So the red is the return, and this is the nipple I took out of the CP4 pump. I plugged all the lines I disconnected. I just don't want any debris getting inside the lines. So this is the return. Remember, I marked it red. Now this return has a it has a short 10mm hose, then goes into a T, and this is a return from your common rail, which is like right here. This is where, so that's the return from there, as well as this right there. And this goes back into this hose, which I plugged it with this blue plug. This is a 12mm or a 1/2 inch, and this goes back all the, makes a loop underneath there, it comes back here, and goes back to the gas tank. So I unplugged all this. Now it might not make sense now, but I'll promise when we're going back to install it, it'll make sense. So I could move this back and I could see the metering valve right there, and this is the blue line, which is the inlet. See the arrow pointing this way to the actual pump from the tank. So we're gonna unplug this as well, and then we're gonna, actually I'm gonna do the metering valve first probably. So this is, there's 2 T25 screws there, and you want to spray it with before you undo it with brake cleaner. Make sure there's no debris there, because you want to keep everything nice and clean. So let's see if I could record this somehow and undo this thing. Now you want to spray inside over here. You want to keep that as clean as possible. Somewhat clean. We could undo the actual valve. So the plug is just, there's a tab on top, you just pull it out, and then let me swing my oh boy, that was not meant to happen. The other screw is behind over here. You have to feel for it. Oh boy, that's a struggle. One, and two. All right, now we should technically be able to pull this out. Let's see. There it is. All right, peoples, this is the inside of where the metering valve was, and what we're essentially doing is, see that hole on the left hand side? We're actually plumbing that and bypassing it, because that is the hole to lubricate the whole pump cam lobes and assembly, which then what it does is when the pump fails, it circulates all the debris throughout the whole fuel system. So we're adding a new feed line basically and bypassing that hole, and therefore when the pump fails, you will not get any debris in your fuel system. Here we are at the other end. This is much easier to talk than being bent over the engine bay, but anyhow, so this is the bypass valve. See, as you could see, it has 4 holes, but the metering valve has only 2, because this is, like I mentioned in the beginning, this is used in several applications. So some of our usable in other applications than this in particular engine, and it has a port here in the back, which does not apply here because we're only utilizing this bypass. This is a new feed line that bypasses the hole that's on the left side in the initial on the original pump. which causes the issues when it fails. So with that being said, how you install this? So it's simple. The mirroring valve goes in this orientation, like so, and it's snugly, it will click inside, and this is how it was bolted in the car, like this. So this is where the return line and the feed line is, original ones, and this just is right next to him. So you put it in like this into the hole, which I'll try to demonstrate in a second, and you use these new extended bolts to bolt it down like so. And there's two gaskets here. Now this one I actually put some grease on before I press record, so it's stuck on there, because otherwise it will fall off and it'll be hard to situate it once it's in the car. So this allows me to slide it in there and bolt the valve inside the original CP4 pump hole. Now let's take this back to the car and try to reinstall it the way it was, and then we'll run the lines. Now keep in mind, when reinstalling this, make sure everything is as clean as possible as you can, because this is very debris sensitive area. Now you have a view of the actual area that we're going to be installing this in. Now in this application, I think it's easier to install it with the mirroring unit already on the bypass valve, because it allows you to manipulate it easily, because this is not the most convenient location to access, but you just gotta go around the dipstick and slowly just insert it. As you could see, it has been nicely machined so it fits like a glove. And just like that, make sure the gasket is seated. It should be flush. You know, it's hard to tell from this angle and from my angle as well. So I managed to get the first one. And by the way, the original was T25. This is 4mm hex. Now let me get the back side. Once you have it hand tightened, just get a wrench in there. And honestly, I don't know the torque spec on these bolts, but I would just get them pretty snug, not over tighten them, because there's an O-ring at the end anyhow. So they're not big bolts, so you don't have to go crazy. You need it just enough so it does not leak, basically, for lack of better terms. Don't forget the plug for the meter, because without that it's not gonna work. Alright, so we have the plate installed. Now we could run the plumbing. We're ready to run the lines now. So this is our feed line, the blue line, which goes here, and off of this line we need to feed it, so we have a feed onto our new port right here by the metering valve, which this T that comes with the kit, it comes in place. All we have to do is splice it through here, and we literally need maybe an inch and a half of the hose to connect it, and that should do it. Cut a small piece of hose, they said, huh? Yeah, right. Nope, that's not the case. with these type of projects, there's always obstacles, and let me explain what I have ran into. So your end setup for your inlet side of this kit, you will need to look something along these lines over here. So you have your factory hose, which we cut to length, that has a natural kink going into the inlet portion. Then we have our T. This is the line from the tank, and this is the line for the new port that we installed with the bypass valve. Now, as you see here, this line is quite lengthy. This is actually 11 inches in length. I would say 11-12 inches. You'll need to cut it to those type of lengths. Reason for that is because this needs to make a natural loop around and cut and plug into the port. Reason being is because you see here we have the factory inlet line from the tank, which we cut before. And what I said before, if you stick a T in there and you try to run a line here to the new port along with the other line for the existing inlet port, the space is so tight you cannot make a natural turn. The line will kink and will sacrifice your fuel flow, which you cannot afford to do. That's not an option. Therefore, you need to make a wraparound like I did with the setup on the table. I also thought I could maybe use this type of Y to make this connection short, but this is not an option either because the Y is too big. So the only option, feasible action in this setup is actually running the loop around. And for those of you that want to ask, well, why don't you just cut the line lower over there? That's not an option either, because that line is very short, because then it converts into a hard line, which is braided. So that's not an option. The end setup on your inlet side should look like this. As you see, we have a loop going from the T around like so, around into Newport, and that is the most efficient way you could run this here with this T. And it actually is not that bad. I zip tied it, and this is, by the way, this is the inlet line from the tank, which you see is hard, it's braided. So there's only small section that is actually rubber at the other end over there. I don't know if you could tell. It's hard to see actually. But as you could see here, this is our original line. I take a note of the hose clamps, so you position them so it's easy to tighten them. Make sure you all tighten. And then now we could tackle the other elephant in the room, which is the return side, which is this here. Notice this is the return port, and it goes into a 10mm 3/8 or 3/8 short section here, which is about 2 inches, and then it has a factory T here, which then it's a big line, this here, which is 12mm or 1/2 inch. So my thinking in the beginning was, oh, there's plenty of space over here. This is the return side. Here, let's put a filter here that was provided with the kit. And after consulting with Matt at Whitbread, it's not be the most efficient way. The reason behind that is because you want the filter essentially to be within this small space here, which, as you imagine, is quite hard given how small the space is, because if you put it here on a big line, that introduces the other path where if this fails, the debris might back up in there and you might compromise the system anyhow. So you want to, as most secure as you want to put it here. Therefore, your return side should look something like this. Another loop. So this is actually about 17 inches in length. Around that should be enough, because you need to make another loop to make this work without no kinks, and incorporate it into that line over there. Let me show you how this is your final result. We have the return line, making a loop all around into the filter, and from the filter you have that short factory connection which I just plugged into, and that is it. Now you could probably fit this filter on this side here, that'd be fine as well, but then you have to struggle removing this. This is a compression fitting, I believe, so then you'll need another clamp for this, and this actually was the perfect length for this filter to fit in, so this is why I chose to do this way. This does not interfere with the airbox at all, so there's clearance in the side here. You see I use about four zip ties to keep it all in place, and there's some brackets here that are not utilized from the factory, so you could run it your zip tie through there, and it's nice and robust. It's not moving. So that is it. Now we have to test it for any leaks. So there's two ways of doing it. Either you try to start the car, or if you have an ISTA software, there's a program to activate the pump. Reason being is this is a diesel, and the pump does not turn on when you put it in auxiliary like regular gas car. It only activates when you're actually starting the car. Therefore, you need a special procedure to do that. So if you try to start it, it'll probably gonna crank several times until it catches when it self-bleeds itself. Other than that, you could use the software, which is it takes about 3 minutes, and the system will activate the pump and self-bleed the whole low pressure side of the system, and then the car should start normally. So put this back together and let's see. And you just heard how it's bleeding the air out of the lines that we just added. This is the benefit of venting it through the software. You don't have to worry about starting it and possibly causing more damage. This is nice if you bleed it through the computer, is because you don't have to put this back on, and you could see if anything is leaking before you actually start it. But let me touch on why you need this filter. This is a 10 micron filter on a return line. This is just an extra insurance just in case anything does travel back to the tank. This will catches it, and this is nice. As I said, it's 10 micron, and it has a magnet on the outlet. This has an in and out side, so when you install it, make sure you put it correctly in the right orientation. And so if the pump fails, that this is your insurance, so you do not have to replace the tank. And that's pretty much it. Just button everything back up, and you could drive away with worry-free that you will not have to replace your fuel system and injectors when your pump does fail. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen, all buttoned up. Airbox is in. You kind of see the two extra loops of the fuel hoses, return and the inlet right there, but that's all you're gonna see. It's all buried in there, but who cares? And you could drive your diesel worry-free. Now this is fairly easy in this engine configuration, this being a inline 6, because I know for a fact this replacing this on a Cummins or a Power Stroke is a lot more involved. This probably should take you the most, maybe I would say 2.5 hours. That's relatively long time, because all you have to do is essentially just take this out. Well, you saw the video, so you know what I'm talking about, and I gave you all the steps so you could get this installed very efficiently. With that being said, this is going to be offered through Whitbread Performance. The price point on this, I believe it's $225 at this point. It's going to be offered for this very engine, but you could still buy it even now at the posting of this video under their Volkswagen product. You just have to select a kit that's for Volkswagen CTAT, I believe the code name is. That's the correct kit, which you could so to speak incorporate in this engine, and that's how you save 18 grand in repair bills, if you know what I'm talking about. With this kit, like I said, the pump fails, and it will fail. This not by no means, this does not prevent the pump from failing. It will fail regardless. If all you want to know, my pump has about 150,000 miles on it. It's still alive, so let's see how long it's gonna last. But I know there's people that had pumps replaced at 70, 80, 100, 200,000, so it's a literally a jeopardy. And if it fails without this kit, again, $18,000 repair bill, because you have to replace everything. See all those injectors right there? They're like about, I think last time I checked, about $700 a piece. So it adds up quickly. And with this, you could sleep worry free. All right, I think that's this video been long enough already. If you lasted this long to end of the video, thank you for watching. Hopefully this was helpful, and if you did follow this, you should be very happy with this, because you could sleep worry free right now. With that being said, thank you again. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.